What's going on, everybody? I'm Coach Hayes. I'm inside the 8th Street Gym, and I want to welcome you to another edition of Mobility Mondays, powered by Once Upon a Coconut. Look, if you're an athlete or just a washed up meathead like myself, chances are you've dealt with some low back pain at some point. Maybe your back gets tight every time you go for a squat. If you're a football player, especially an offensive, defensive lineman, you understand what I'm talking about. You're living life in the trenches, play after play, and that bent over stance doesn't take long before your low back starts hollering at you. Or maybe you sit behind a desk all day and your back feels stiff by the time you stand up. Today, we're gonna go over one common reason why that's happening. We're talking hip mobility. I'm gonna show you how to release a lot of that tension built up in those hips. I'm gonna break down 3 hip mobility drills. I'm gonna show you how to activate and wake up your glutes. And I'm gonna show you how to reinforce proper core positioning so that you can move better, squat better, and hopefully keep that low back feeling a whole lot better in the process. And we're doing it right here, right now. 8th Street Gym, Mobility Mondays, all about hip mobility and low back pain. Let's get to work. Before we get into the mobility exercises, we first gotta release the tension that's built up in those hips. I like to start with 2 simple tools, a softball and a so right. With the softball, we're gonna work the glutes and the backside of the hips. I wanna lay on the ground, place the softball underneath one butt cheek, get in that figure 4 position, and apply pressure in a circular motion for about 30 to 60 seconds each side. Then I'm grabbing the so right. I gotta find where my psoas is. Somewhere in the middle between my belly button and my hip bone. Gonna find that spot, lay on top of it, gently at first, and then extend out and breathe into that so right for about 5 deep breaths or 30 to 60 seconds each side. If you're someone who deals with tight hips and recurring low back stiffness, I'm telling you, a so right is well worth the investment. It's affordable, you can get it on Amazon, and what I like about it is that it lets you put focused pressure into those hip flexors and psoas area where it's really hard to get into with any other tools. This bad boy is specifically designed to target those hard to find areas, and I can release that pressure with the so right a whole lot better than I can using a foam roller, lacrosse ball, softball. I'm gonna be able to specifically target the psoas with the so right. Hey, before we get into today's drills, I want to give a huge shout out to Once Upon a Coconut for powering this series and for hooking us up here in the 8th Street Gym. I know today there's a ton of sports drinks out there and it can get a little overwhelming, but coconut water has always been nature's very own sports drink. Once Upon a Coconut has figured out a way to put that into a can, and they absolutely nailed it. The flavors are all incredible. It's refreshing. I use it pre-workout, during my intra-workout, and even during my post-workout shake with my personal favorite, the chocolate version. Mix that with a little vanilla protein. I'm telling you, if you don't know, you better find out. It is awesome. If you're looking for a better way to stay hydrated, definitely check these guys out. Appreciate attention. Now it's time for the mobility drills. It's time to open those hips up. I'm gonna show you 3 hip mobility drills where all you need is an adjustable bench. Come on. Our first exercise is an elevated Spider-Man stretch, or world's greatest stretch. We're gonna place one foot on the bench and settle into that deep lunge. But here's the coaching point. We're gonna keep that back leg long and straight. Don't let that knee bend. The coaching cue is back knee high and front hip low. By reaching that back heel back and that front knee forward, we're emphasizing lengthening that hip flexor while opening up the front hip. We gotta lengthen those hip flexors. We gotta open them back up. Tight hips are incredibly common in most people. Why? We're constantly sitting, driving, we're traveling, playing video games on the couch. It's just human nature. And guess what? When those hips get tight and they stop moving, the low back has to make up the difference. We're gonna spend about 30 to 60 seconds in this elevated Spider-Man stretch each side, or perform about 5 slow and controlled T-spine rotations while I'm in that stretch. For the second exercise, All we have to do is move that bench into a slight incline, and I'm ready to go for our incline pigeon stretch. I really like doing this stretch on an incline because it's much easier, pain-free position for most people to get into. I like to actively drive my chest into 3 different positions. I like to go chest over the knee, chest over the shin, and I like going chest over the foot. And I'm just working those positions, maybe 3 to 5 reps each side. I also like to drop that back knee towards the floor in a slow and controlled manner, almost like doing a lunge. This is really gonna help lengthen the stretch and open up that glute, the back side of the hip. We can do about 5 reps slow and controlled, or 30 to 60 seconds each side. We've opened up the front of the hips, we've opened up the back side. There's only one more area for us to target. That's the groin, the adductors. I wanna grab the edge of the bench and pull myself back into that deep lateral lunge. A lot of people call these Cossack squats. I call them HBK squats. Pay homage to one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. When I was in the WWE, funny story, the first time I met Shawn Michaels when he came to the Performance Center, he entered the gym and we were doing this exact mobility drill. You couldn't write it up. It was just perfect timing. HBK, he's the man. He's cooking on NXT. Make sure you check those guys out. On this exercise, I'm rotating the back foot towards the sky and I'm staying low as I rotate to the other side. Great drill to target the adductors, the groin. It's the last part of the hip that we gotta open up. We're gonna hit about 5 slow and controlled reps, staying low, chest tall throughout the movement. HBK squats, gotta be hitting these. Now that we've opened up the hips, it's time to wake up the glutes. One of my favorite exercises here is the frog wedge glute bridge. But honestly, any glute bridge variation is gonna get the job done. The goal is to get those glutes firing before we train. At the top of every rep, really squeeze those glutes. Don't chase more range of motion by arching and overextending those hips. That's just gonna get into that low back, and we don't want that. Think about how much time we spend sitting throughout the day. Whether it's at work, we're traveling, we're in a plane, we're sitting in a car, we're playing video games on the couch, we're in study hall, we're watching film. Man, all those times we're sitting down, our glutes are not working. They're in sleep mode. When they aren't doing their job, the hamstrings, the low back, they gotta pick up the slack. The glutes are our engine. Before we squat, before we deadlift, or jump or run, we gotta make sure that that engine is turned on. And we gotta offset all that dead period those glutes have been deactivated for throughout the day. So we gotta activate the glutes. I like 2 sets of anywhere from 10 to 15 reps, focusing on that hard glute squeeze at the top of each rep. Let's tie everything together with one of my favorite core exercises, the dead bug. One thing I see all the time is athletes squatting with that excessive arch in their low back. It's that big S curve or that dip throughout the lumbar spine. The problem is when you load that position with heavy barbell, you're asking your low back to absorb much more of the force instead of letting your core do its job. That's why I love the dead bug. The floor gives us that instant feedback that we need. It's telling us yes or no if our low back is driving into the ground. I can feel it. I love using a med ball, press against my knees here. That's gonna allow me to engage that core even more. As my arms and legs extend outward, I gotta keep my low back pressed into the ground. If you start to feel that arch, we know we got a problem. This exercise teaches us how to brace. It teaches us how to own that position and carries over to our squats. Brace your core, keep your rib cage down, and let your hips and legs do the work. Don't squat from your low back. Brace your core and move through your hips. On these dead bugs, I like 2 sets of 5 to 8 reps each side. To do these right, I'm telling you, you're not gonna need a whole lot of reps. Slow and controlled, and you'll feel it. So there you have it. You're dealing with low back pain, you got tight hips, we got the solution. Give this routine a try 2 to 3 times a week, especially before a lower body session or anytime your back starts feeling tight on you. If you like this video, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Stay tuned to the 8th Street Gym YouTube channel because there's more where that came from. Are you kidding me? 8th Street Gym, hip mobility, low back tightness. We got your solution. Coach Hayes is your hookup. Holler if you hear me. Come on, let's go.
Yeah, we bring that feel. Sweat drips down like the Florida sun. Every rep, every set, that's how it's done.